Hi, I'm Eileen with Have Lifelong Wellbeing, and I want to talk with you in this video about causes of back pain when you stand up. Now, I'm not talking about when you're standing. That could be a different story, although it could be the same issue. But when you've been sitting for a while and you go to stand up from sitting, if this is you, you've been sitting at your desk, you've been sitting at your computer, you've been maybe reading a book, watching television, at the movies, for whatever reasons you've been sitting for quite a while. And then you go to get up and you're like, oh, and you can't quite straighten your back and you can't quite take a step, and it takes a minute. And you take a step and you take another step and you finally get to where you can stand up again. Maybe. Some of you might even not be able to stand up straight after sitting for a long time, for quite a while, without some real pain. So I want to explain to you a little bit about a potential cause for this and a couple of little strategies that you can use that might help you, okay? So the first thing is you have muscles that attach the front of your hip, just down below onto your femur, your thigh bone, and your lumbar spine. So, you know, your lumbar spine is between your sacrum, which is where your hips are, and your thoracic spine, which is where your ribs are. So it's L1 through 5. Well, you have these muscles called the psoas, and the psoas, it's spelled with a P. The P is silent, P-S-O-A-S. And those muscles attach to the front of your leg bone so that you can bring your leg up. It's a hip flexor. That's what it does when it shortens. When it lengthens, it controls extension, which is the opposite motion. And it also allows you to stand up nice and straight, and it stabilizes you. It's a massive stabilizing muscle. So that when you're upright, my psoas, when I lean back, is what's keeping me from falling backward. Now, there's a whole lot of other systems at play here. There's your neural system, there's your fascial system, there's a lot of other systems. But for the most part, what's inhibiting you, more than likely, if you do a lot of sitting, is the psoas muscle. It's kind of locked short, for lack of a better, easy way of explaining it. So when you're sitting, that muscle gets shorter. Okay, it's shortened. And whether you're sitting back supported or you're leaning forward at your desk, which is what most people do if you're on the computer and you're at a desk, or even if you're not on a computer, but if you're sitting at a desk, most people don't lean back in their chair for any length of time. If you're working, especially on the computer, most people are leaning forward. And so now, those muscles that attach from your leg bone up to your lower spine are shorter, and they're keeping you stable there so that you can stay forward. You're kind of using them, making them work to keep you bent. And now when you go to get up, you're asking those muscles to unbend, to get longer and work well at allowing you to straighten up nicely and be stable. And this is why a lot of people, as they age, they're kind of stuck forward a little bit because those muscles have really weakened, and if they stand up, they're going to fall backward. They're going to lose their balance. Now, some of that has to do with ankle too, but I don't want to get off on a tangent. So, here's the goal. If that's you, if your back complains when you stand up from sitting, here's a couple of strategies that you can use. Throughout your workday, instead of staying sitting without getting up, and you can even still be reading on the computer, you can even still be on the phone, I've timed this. This takes about 20 seconds. And if you do this just 3 times an hour, that's 1 minute per hour. By the end of your workday, you may not have back pain when you go to get up and you're headed home. Same thing if you're in the car for a long period of time, right? So let me show you what you're going to do. You're going to set your cell phone, or use a little timer if you're old-fashioned and you don't use a cell phone, but that's relatively rare in today's world. So what I'm going to do is stand up, and I'm going to bend backward 10 times. Now, you may be someone where bending backward like this is really not very comfortable. It might be relatively painful, especially if those muscles have really locked short. They're used to stabilizing you in a very shortened position, and they're really not wanting to get long. So what you're going to do is you're going to put your hands on your hips like this, and you're going to very gently just sort of bring the hips forward. Ideally, you'll be able to do this, right, if it's a nice small motion. And you can even try doing it with one foot forward, so that now I've got a little more going on with my left hip in the front here, in that left psoas, because you've got two of them, one on each side. And then I can switch sides and just do 5 or 6 on each side. Then you can sit right back down and get back to work. Now that 20 seconds, like I said, if you're on the phone, right, you can still do this while you're on the phone. The person won't even know you're doing it, okay? But this might make a big difference by the end of your day. The muscle might be much more able to get longer and control your stability in upright when you stand. Very, very good thing. Now, if you want to go just a little bit further than this, and you'd really like to train the muscle how to get longer with control, here's another good thing. You can use a little step stool, or at home if you've got stairs, hanging onto a railing. Always want to be safe, right? So if you've got balance issues, make sure you're holding on and you're safe. But if I want to do this, say I want to do this left, I just put my foot up on maybe the second step, hanging onto a railing or a footstool, holding on to something in case I've got balance issues. And you can just kind of let your hips slide forward. And of course you would do this both sides. Now, there's a little more to this. You can do it in 3-plane function, but I'm just going to show you this simple sagittal. But this is a really good way to get those psoas to get longer and control the motion. That's how your muscles are really designed. And of course you want to do that both sides. Okay? But our muscles, truly, their real authentic functional design is to control motion once it begins. So I start pushing out to get the motion, but then that muscle gets longer, 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 longer under tension, and it controls it, and it says, oh, that's enough, let's come back. And then it unloads or releases the tension. So it loads with tension, and it unloads with tension. And that's really the most optimal, authentic human movement that occurs. Muscles getting longer with control. And these muscles here, the psoas, way deep inside, connected to your lumbar spine, really need to know how to get longer, especially if you want to stay upright as you age. All right, I hope to see you in the next video.